So welcome to this small video about the Oli model by Dunning. It's one of the classic theories in internationalization, so I thought it relevant to bring it up here in the small series about internationalization. It's also one of the models which fits quite well with the other models because it has a different perspective, but let me get back to that in a minute. The basic idea of this model here is that we're working with multinational companies, and multinational is one of the older terminologies. Multinational means what it actually says. It's multinational. So the company is operating nationally in multiple countries. It's something which comes way back, and Dunning is of the same school as Michael Porter, which we know for his five forces, generic strategies, etc. And as you can see at the top numbers, where he published the different papers regarding it, it is a rather old in the basic form theory, but it has been updated recently, so it is still relevant. It's also important to note that it's a model which explains activities which has happened. So where other models might try to predict or prescribe or tell you what to do, this model explains why you did things. It's a little bit tricky to therefore use it in say, okay, this and this and that, therefore we should do these things. So if we have these parameters in place, we should do this kind of internationalization. The model does not really support that. But, well, with a little bit of a twist, we can argue for using it in that way. There is, however, another assumption which is rather important, and it's what I call the full information assumption. It means that in order to use this model and make it relevant, it assumes that the company have full information about what is ever happening on the market they're looking to enter. This is really a challenging task. Anyone having worked with international business knows, well, whatever happens in the country, something you can read, something that you can ask, but a lot of these things you need to experience. So therefore, this assumption is a little bit critical, but it also stresses that you should do thorough research before making any decisions about a market. But let's dig a little bit deeper into what it actually says, this model. The core idea is that we have these three categories of topics that we want to address: the ownership, the location, and the internalization. Especially the internalization I want you to take a note of, because it's internalization, not internationalization. It's internal, like internalization, as in what is happening within the company. But if we start with the ownership is something that the company has, something that it controls. It could be patents, it could be special processes, it could be brand, something which is unique to this company that they can protect. It also links up to sustainable competitive advantages, as Porter describes in his theories. Some competitive advantages that is sustainable for the future. The next one topic that you're looking at here is the location advantage. The location advantage is related to the market that you're entering or has entered. Is there an advantage for this market? Is there something in the market like low salaries, big demands, etc.? Something in that market which is advantageous for you to do something about. As I mentioned, low salaries, because it also works the other way, not just outward internationalization, but also inwards. So you source something. This model can actually also explain that. The last one is internalization, meaning what is it that the company are doing. When they're going out, they can do things themselves or they can have someone do it for them. This is the internalization. Are they good enough at these things? Let's take some examples of what it is that we are asking. So ownership is, why should we internationalize? Is there something that we can do that makes sense? Where should we do it? About the location. There's some intrinsic benefits, advantages of different countries that we can exploit. And how should we do it? Should we do it ourselves or get someone else to do it? If we can answer yes to all of these three, we are in what is called the Fdi mode, or foreign direct investments. Yes to ownership, yes to location, yes to internalization. We establish ourselves either through a production subsidiary or sales subsidiary or similar methodologies. However, not always does it make sense for us to do everything ourselves. That's where we enter into the export mode. So we still have the ownership advantage. We do know something. We have some products which are relevant for the markets. There is some benefits in this location, this international market, but someone might be better at, say, selling the product in this market than we are ourselves. There we go with the export modes, or one of the what's called intermediary modes. The last option that we have is when we don't have a location advantage. There's no reason why we should be in this market specifically, or we should be doing it ourselves, but we do have a product which has some potential internationally. This is where we're looking at licensing. The classic examples of this being your pharmaceutical and beverage industries, your Coca-Cola, which have a recipe. They give the recipe to a brewery or a soft drink manufacturer in a country. They produce the Coca-Cola on a license and distribute it locally for their profitability and pay a certain amount for them. The same with the pharmaceutical research or biotech companies. They invent the things and then they let someone else produce and sell it for them. The internationalization. So, to sum it up, the OLI model is related to ownership, location, and internalization, giving us an idea why we should do foreign direct investment, exports, or licensing modes. So, thank you for watching this small video here. I hope it made a little bit more sense. Remember to watch the other videos. They can add on to it, especially regarding the localization, where you can use the funnel model. Thank you. See you later.